Welcome to Dr. Charles Speaks, a podcast for now. You've joined us for a special series of transformational talks, selected exclusively from Dr. Charles's corporate success calls. The 15-minute calls are designed to encourage leaders, activate your thought life, and prepare you for the challenges ahead. Dr. Charles joins every call with a blend of his personal experiences, his expertise as a John Maxwell certified mentor and coach, and of course, his more than 30 years of exceptional experience in both corporate America and ministry. Get motivated with Dr. Charles Speaks, a transformational talk from the Red Line on today's podcast, inspiring excellence and generating results.
Good day, my friends. This is Dr. Charles, and thank you for joining me on the Red Line. It is certainly my pleasure to have the opportunity to share with you and to certainly encourage you and challenge you along your personal journey. I want to talk to you today about a particular subject matter that I think it works for everyone that listens on the call, and that is I'm going to be talking about from the book of John Maxwell, who wrote the 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork. We talk about teamwork, and the reality of it today is that no one really can be solely successful by him or herself. You're going to need teammates, and teamwork works together. And when you think about teamwork, there comes with it accountability. And we must be accountable to each other because teammates must be able to count on each other. And when it counts, accountability is being able to have faith in your teammates no matter what happens. And you just watch the teams that are successful. I like to use a lot of sports analogies, but you see the teams competing, and the teams that are successful, they are working together in a cohesive one-team approach. It also works in corporate America as well. When you think about working together and striving together, and at the end of the year in the business realm, it's about driving sales and driving profit and increasing market share, all of those things. It doesn't happen just by mentioning we want to do those things. It's going to take a team, and it's going to take an effective leader. It's going to take a lot of hard work, because when the chips are down, you can turn to the people on your team. At least you ought to be able to do that, and that is so important. I want to talk to you about 5 things here that I think that makes for a fantastic and a strong team and being a part of a strong team, because we're talking about accountability, and team accountability consists of these things, these 5 things. 1, it consists of character. You hear me say the word character. That's very important. Number 2, competence. And 3, commitment. 4, consistency, and 5, cohesion. These are elements that are going to be needed for a team to be successful, and not only just a team, for each and every one of us as individuals as well. When you think about character, Robert Cook, he put it this way. He says this. He says, "There is no substitute for character. You can buy brains, but you cannot buy character. Character makes trust possible, and trust makes leadership possible. If you cannot trust someone, you will not count on them." And that's what it comes down to when you are able to be trusted and someone knows that you are going to take care of your part. You're going to perform to the best of your ability in the role that you've been given on a given team. And that no matter whether they're there in the presence with you or out of the presence, you will be working as though everyone was there. And so that is so important when you think about, number 1, when you're talking about accountability, is having character, because before you can lead anybody, character, you must have the ability to have the people trust in you. And you just can't buy that. It's going to be by your living example day in and day out when people observe you up close, when people hear you and they know that you are a person of character. And once that has been determined, you can count on it. People will follow, people will trust you, and they will know that you are working for the best interests of the team. Because as I said, if you cannot trust someone, you will not count on them at all. So character is number one. Number two, when you think about it, is competence. Well, what do you mean, Dr. Charles, competence? Competence matters. People must know their role and they must know what it takes to be successful. You can hold the title, but just having a title and not knowing what to do will not get you where you need to go, because competence, it does matter. And it matters because when a person is able to learn and able to translate that learning into action, and that action will impact those that come around them, then you will see competence and character going hand in hand, because it's so important to know what you're doing, how you're going about doing, and having a plan to succeed. Because if there's someone that's the leading, as the saying goes, the blind leading the blind is not going to get anybody to where they need to go. It's going to take someone who has the know-how, someone who has the experience. So education is so important. You hear me talk about continuous growth, continuous learning, continuous challenging yourself to do better. That means that you study your trade, you study your passion, what it is that you do well. And so when the time comes for you to play your part, you are able to bring the expertise and become the subject matter expert, because that will make all the difference. But if you don't know anything, you can't certainly lead. And so that will affect the trust. The team won't have much trust in you if they see that you're incompetent. And so it is so important that you have competence to do that which is needed from you, as the team is expecting you to make your positive contribution. So we've talked about 1, character; 2, competence; 3, commitment. You know, you've got to have commitment. Any team that's going anywhere is committed to win, committed to accomplish that which they set out to do, and committed when times are tough. You want to know that you can count on your teammate, that they've got your back. You know, teams that succeed or fail based on teammates' commitment. That's what it comes down to, because when a teammate is all about themselves and all about they getting the accolades and getting the credit, it doesn't necessarily mean that the team is successful. I think about playing basketball in my younger days, and you would hear comments like, well, we lost the game, but I got a triple-double. I got double digits in scoring and points. I got double digits in rebounds. And I got double digits in handing out assists, but we lost the game. And so you may get recognized as the MVP of the game or the best player on the team, but you have to realize that when you by yourself and trying to win, you're not going to be successful as it relates to having a team win. There's individual wins, and then there are team wins. And you hear people who are humble that says, well, I couldn't have got this MVP award. I've only got it because my teammates were there. You take a football team, the offensive line, the center, the 2 guards and the 2 tackles and the tight end, and they hike the ball to the quarterback and they drop back to look for the pass for a receiver. Well, unless those offensive linemen are blocking and looking out for the quarterback and protecting the quarterback before they get sacked in the backfield, that quarterback may lead the team down the field and score the touchdown. And at the end of the game, they may win, and they may put the microphone in front of the quarterback and say, well, how did you win? How did you do it? And those that are humble and those that recognize team will say, the offensive line, they did a great job today in giving me time to find the open receiver. And that is the result of us working together, and we won as a team. That's the type of leader that you want, and that's the type of commitment that you want for somebody who is a part of the team. It's not enough to be the first person that makes it to the top of the mountain. everyone on the team has to make it together. And that's teamwork, because real teamwork requires that kind of commitment. When teammates can't make it, you carry them the rest of the way for the sake of the team. You hear the Army expression, no one left behind. They may be behind enemy lines. We're not going to leave them behind enemy lines. We're going to go after them. We're going to rescue them, because no one is going to be left behind. And when you're committed and you're part of a team, you still can be a leader in part of the team. But the reality is that everyone is pulling their weight. Everyone is doing their part, and no one left behind. Everyone arriving together, and everyone being successful in their own way and in a collective way as a team. So we've talked about having character. We're talking about accountability and having the competence to do the job and to do it well, and being committed to winning and committed to helping people along the way. And then number 4, consistency. We've got to be consistent. It's 1 minute you're a hero, the next minute you could be a zero. But when you are working together and you're building a winning formula, a winning structure, a winning team, you hear me talk about sports in terms of, I think about the San Antonio Spurs. Year after year, they put a competitive product out onto the playing field, and they win consistently throughout the season, and always seem to end up in the playoffs. You remember that run that the Atlanta Braves had for 14 straight years, winning their division. You remember the run of the New England Patriots and some of the other teams that seem to consistently expect to show up and expect to win. You know, getting back to the Atlanta Braves there, you remember the pitcher they had back in the 80s and 90s, late 80s and the 90s, Greg Maddux. Everyone remembers him, a Hall of Fame pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. Matter of fact, if you recall, the Braves have Tom Glavine, John Smoltz. I mean, they had a trio of Hall of Famers, and during that 14-year stretch, they only won 1 World Series, but you could count on them in the regular season being among the best teams there is. Well, getting back to Greg Maddux, you remember he was the only pitcher besides Cy Young and Gaylord Perry. Gaylord Perry had a brother named Jim Perry, but the 2 Perry brothers. But Gaylord, he was the only one besides Gaylord and Cy Young that won at least 15 games or more for 13 consecutive seasons. He's the only pitcher in baseball history to have won the Cy Young Award 4 consecutive years, from 1992 to 1995. Now, you're talking about consistency, applying their trade, their craft, and working at it, and not just being content to winning 1 year, having a good year, but having a string of good years. And that's what I'm challenging you, and I challenge myself, is let's have consistency, having a string of success, that it's not a 1-year wonder and then a next year blunder. And that's the difference of teamwork and accountability, because accountability means that even in the off season, even in the timeout, even in the private time, we're studying, we're preparing ourselves, we're getting ready for the next round so that we can take it up even a next notch. And you think about it, every round goes higher and higher because you challenge yourself to continue to strive. The last point is cohesion. And, to pull it all together, teammates need to develop cohesion. That is the ability to what? Hold things together no matter how difficult the circumstances become, because it means that you have a pride in the ability of your team to function at a higher level than possible for the individual. I'd like to close today, my friends, with this. Team accountability is the greatest compliment that you can receive, is being counted on. Can you be depended on to do your part? Whatever that is, when your teammates need you the most. Accountability. You've been listening to Dr. Charles, The Red Line. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Charles Speaks. Visit drcharlesred.com for booking info for your ministry, business, or leadership team. Get info about The Red Line, a 15-minute corporate success call each Monday morning with Dr. Charles. Follow Dr. Charles on all social media at Dr. Charles Red. Subscribe to the podcast here for every episode of Dr. Charles Speaks. Thanks for joining us. Like Dr. Charles always says, no matter what, never, never, never give up. Until next time.